For the last month, I have been on a mission to declutter and simplify our lives. I've been going room to room, tackling problem areas, and today you're going to watch me take on probably the most overwhelming decluttering task of my life. In fact, there's no probably about it. It's been horrendous, and I never want to have to do this again. This is episode 2 of my new decluttering series, and there's many more to come, but this definitely was the most challenging. And this, my friends, is why. This is what my boys' room looks like after Christmas 2024. Just bags and boxes worth of Christmas presents, Christmas decorations that I haven't put in the attic yet. Don't panic, the boys don't actually sleep in here. It's pretty much doubling up as a very chaotic storage room right now. And my goal was to transform it into a lovely peaceful playroom again. But where on earth to start? One thing was for certain, I knew I had to be ruthless. I couldn't let sentimentality get in my way this year. Because as you know, we've been here before. This time last year, I'd also decluttered the house with the intention of never letting things build up or get this bad again. And here we are a year later, and it's even worse. So something needed to change. In order to actually start this project and not turn and run in the opposite direction, I had to break it down into phases. That always makes it feel less daunting. So the first phase was to clear the space. I also told myself, as I was speaking about in the first episode, if you haven't watched that, go and check that out. But I told myself it takes as many days as it takes. There's no time frame where I need to get it done by. We're going to do a bit each day. We're not going to exhaust ourselves. We're still going to have time for other things. This is not going to consume all of our attention and all of our time. It gets done when it gets done. And I had to tell myself that because I am a very all or nothing person. I don't like unfinished projects. It stresses me out thinking about the fact that something's incomplete, and because of that I will work until it gets done. But that's often to the detriment of every other area of my life. This is why the house gets messy often. When I'm focusing on another project, it gets all of my attention. There's rarely a middle ground with me, or a day where things get equal attention, and that's obviously not ideal when you're a mum and you've got a house to run. So this year I'm striving for balance. Even if that means things don't get done to my standard or projects take longer to complete, there's going to be no more spending an entire day on one thing. No more black and white thinking. Instead, it's going to be layered thinking, compromise, being able to adapt and taking each day as it comes. Planning out the day beforehand so that there's more structure. I'm one of those people who hate the idea of structure, but without it, I descend into chaos. I need an in-home manager, honestly, someone to tell me what to do every step of the way. I will wander off track and get distracted by my own shadow. But because I can't afford that, lists it is. Most days this year, I've actually managed to write out my plan for the day in bullet points before I eat breakfast. And you know what? It's made me feel really grown up and accomplished. There is nothing like putting a tick next to one of those bullet points. And I've started doing this because I just don't remember what needs to be done each day. My brain is so scattered and it feels like I've got 10 tabs open in my brain all at once, all the time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have never felt like a grown-up. And I know no one's ever really got it all figured out. But as a person that struggles to stick to even the simplest of routines, I'm forever searching for a system. Just a simple system and routine that works for our family. That means we're not winging it every single day. I want there to be predictability in my children's lives and times of day where we do certain things and it's the same time every day. I don't want mad rushes because I've left everything to the last minute or I've lost and forgotten things. I want to be more prepared. And if I haven't explained myself very well there, it's like this. You know how most people will have a general idea of what they're going to be doing each day? They'll prepare their outfit and lunch for the next day. They'll get up in enough time to get ready in the mornings. They brush their teeth on autopilot every morning and evening without having to think about it. They have a specific time they usually eat dinner and go to bed. And it's generally routine and behaviour that's set in their mind. They don't have to think about it very much. They don't have to remember it. There is none of that in my brain. I am totally winging it every single day and essentially remembering to be human and function like one every day. Nothing is on autopilot, and in the past it caused a lot of negative feelings about myself. And I guess this is today's topic. I've gone on a ramble, I've just let my brain take me where it takes me, and I hope it's useful or relatable or comforting in some way. And we'll get back to that topic because I've got a lot more to say on it, but I need to tell you what we're doing here because we've moved on to phase 2. So phase 2 is decluttering. And basically, I'm going around the room, every cupboard and drawer, and I am being ruthless with toys. And it pains me to do so. I'm not going to speak about the whys because I spoke about that in the last episode. But I know it, we all know it, my children have too much stuff. It's not entirely mine and Charlie's fault. All the bags in the room that I just moved out of it, they're Christmas presents from family members. So you have an idea of what we're up against when it comes to a constant stream and influx of new things in the house. Especially when you consider it's not just Christmas, it's birthdays, or when they've seen new clothes they like in the shop, or they've taken the kids out and they've wanted something. It's harder for grandparents to say no, I get it. And yes, we have suggested buying experiences over physical gifts, but I'm not going to say any more. All I'll say is I am not letting myself get stressed out in 2025. I'll take accountability when accountability is needed and blame myself for things I'm responsible for, but I am not blaming myself for other people's actions, as loving and as well-meaning as they are, especially when I've set a boundary. I don't think anybody could look at what I'm having to do here and think, yeah, this is totally healthy and I want to add to it. Anyway, it's glaringly obvious to me that having too much stuff is detrimental to a child's development because it's too overwhelming. There's too much choice. If you look into that toy box I've just emptied, there's no theme, there's little parts to random toy sets, nothing flows, nothing goes together, it's just a free-for-all. And I want the boys to be able to come in here, know exactly where something is, or have a look around and pick something out and set it down and play with it. So I'm getting rid of 80% of the toys. Does it make me sad? Yes. Do I know the children will benefit from it? 100% yes. Have I asked them what I can declutter and donate this year? Which is something I did partially last year. Not with everything, but I did partially. This time, no, not at all. And I may be judged for that, but I know what they play with often. And I know what happens when, especially my youngest, comes into this room. He empties everything out, plays for a few seconds, and then he wants to do something else. And I do put that down to him being overwhelmed with choice and just general chaos. There is one thing I'm going to do because I haven't consulted them though, and that's before I donate, I'm going to leave the toys in bags for a while, and if it turns out that they recognise a certain toy's missing, we can get it back out. After that time frame's gone, and they haven't remembered or been upset over a toy not being there, they're going to be donated. I have spent pretty much my entire life attaching sentiment and personality to every item in the home. Apparently I am going into the whys in this video as well. But I've realised over the past few years, doing that has meant there's been an albatross of unnecessary guilt and stress around my neck. I feel guilty because too much stuff contributes to more mess, and as we know, mess can build up fast as it is. Just want to interrupt myself and show you the little series of drawings that my son did here. He's really into flipbook art at the minute. But yeah, I was guilty because I knew too much stuff wasn't good for the mental health or development of my family. But also guilty because I felt bad and ungrateful for getting rid of it. And I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings or take away toys or reduce the choices my children had when it comes to what to play with. I'm trying not to feel guilty this year. This big declutter series is all about cultivating a healthier mindset and a healthier lifestyle for the new year. And doing hard things now that are ultimately going to make life better in the long run. But anyone watching who struggles with letting go for whatever reason, trust me, I understand how hard it is. I've been trying at this for a few years now, and I'm still working on it, and I'll probably still be working on it next year. It's a process, and don't expect to be great at it immediately, or give up because you don't see big enough change right away. That little set of drawers I've just decluttered, that was something I added to the room, I think, last year, as a way to organise crafts and art stuff, and it made such a positive difference in the space. Even though there were still too many toys and systems that needed to be tweaked and sorted, what I did do last year still made a difference. We were at a better point than we were the year before. And that's what I think we should be focusing on. Progress. So this corner of the room is one of the problem areas that I've been chiming on about. To get anyone new here up to speed, it's a place in the house that usually gets cluttered. Things get piled on top of it or behind it, and its original function becomes moot, really, because we're unable to use it properly. So there was a time that we played with that kitchen often, the one I've just moved out of the room. It was my eldest son's. I bought it back when it was just me and him in the house, and then time passed and Charlie moved in and Ike was born, and with them came a lot more stuff. So eventually things started being stashed behind the kitchen. There's a box of toys behind there, this huge box that my son drew on and wanted to keep. Another thing that I feel in the pit of my stomach, pure guilt because I am getting rid of this box. He doesn't play with it, probably because there's no room to play with it, and we just don't have the capacity to keep it. So I have a plan for that corner, and the kitchen's going and something new is taking its place, which you'll see later on in the video. I've also gotten rid of the little table that you saw there, and again, something's taken its place. As you've probably noticed, there have been multiple outfit changes, or should I say pyjama changes, during this video. And that's because I've been attacking this project over a series of days. Like I said earlier, I've been setting myself a certain portion of the day so that I don't forget the rest of the world and all of the other things I need to do to have a full and balanced life, and to make sure my family has a full and balanced life. Again, all or nothing here. If I'm fully engrossed in a project, I will forget to eat and go to the toilet if left to my own devices, and that's saying something because I love food. And that leads me back to the first topic I was speaking about in this video. Again, if you're new here, you end up getting a full podcast inside these cleaning videos, and we talk about all sorts, struggles and vulnerabilities, hopes and aspirations. And I hope you leave the videos not only feeling motivated, but feeling better about yourself and strong. Here's Charlie building one of the new items for the room, and it's a smaller kitchen. When the room's clutter-free, the kids actually love playing in the kitchen. We play restaurants, and one of us will knock on the door and wait to be seated, and we'll order a meal and play with little plastic money. And so it was important for me that there's still a kitchen in the room. I think it's great for imaginary play, great for maths, when they're counting the change. And it encourages taking joy in caring for others and cooking and all of that. So that's going to go where the small table was, behind the door. Anyway, back to what I was saying about being all or nothing, routines, losing track of time. I want to add more structure to our lives this year. Now, I can't do it by memory or on autopilot or through habit, because as I've spoken about many times, habit just doesn't seem to stick with me. Even simple things, as I said, like brushing my teeth, where most people will just do that without having to think, I have to remember to do that. And often in the past, I haven't remembered, and it's caused a lot of aggro and a root canal for future me. I don't want to inflict these issues on my children. And so I rely heavily on lists anyway, but I'm trying to make it a lifestyle so that we have more predictability and structure and consistency in our lives, and so that things aren't completely different from one day to the next. And I'll give you an example. With lists, it will be the morning before the school run, everything's been prepared the night before. I'm focused, I know what I'm making for breakfast, the alarm's been set earlier, we're out the door on time, we know where our shoes and coats are. If you've watched the first part to this video, you'll know what I'm talking about there. After school, we'll have a chat and a catch up. And then there's a specific hour for screen time, which I also use for my screen time and wind down time. Then it's dinner. Then we all clean up together, Rudy does his chore, then it's bath and book and bedtime routine, and the kids are sleeping by a decent time. Without lists, I've forgotten to organise everything the night before, because I'm burned out from constant mess that I can't keep up with. Rudy, who really needs structure, has put music on and is now in a world of his own, so I'm constantly back and forth out of the kitchen into the living room going, Rudy, can you brush your teeth? Rudy, can you try and find your uniform? He goes to do it and then gets distracted over and over again. Just interrupting myself here again and saying that we've moved into phase 3, and that's sorting and organising, and we're going to find places for everything. But yeah, carrying on, I didn't plan out breakfast, so I think, I'll just do something fast like toast. Realise that the bottom half of the loaf is mouldy, try and find another option, but time is ticking at this point. I've still got to get Ike dressed. He's rifling through the food cupboards whilst my back's turned, and I'm organising the clothes in the lunchbox that I should have organised the night before. We're finally ready to leave, Belle's already gone for school and we've not even set off. After school, I'm still not caught up. I'm mentally drained. I'm way behind with my work. My eldest is bugging me for screen time before I've had a chance to think. So I think, I can figure out dinner if they have screen time now. But I'm in a terrible mood at this point. And when I'm in a terrible mood, I struggle to organise and set boundaries. And children need boundaries and someone to say, hey, I know you don't want to when you're having so much fun, but it's time to put that down for the day now. So their screen time runs way over, more than I'm happy with. This affects their mood and mine because I feel guilty now. We haven't had a chat about our day. I'm scrambled. I end up freezing and not getting anything else done because remember, all of the tabs are open in my brain all at once. And I don't have a step-by-step guide to follow to keep me grounded and on track. And I need one. So I write 2 lists a day. And before I tell you about my lists, what I'm doing here is I'm going through each bag one by one and finding homes for everything before I move on to the next bag. This just felt like the least overwhelming way to do it. All of the bags that I took out of the room have been jammed into the hallway, my bedroom, even the bathroom. And I did that because, well, firstly, I couldn't declutter while they were all in here. But also, if I tried to go through the bags that way, I just would have given up. Doing it this way makes it more bite-sized and manageable. Bear in mind, in these bags were Christmas presents for me and Charlie as well, so I'm just going back and forth and finding everything at home. If you're wondering what's going on with the phone on the tripod there, I'm listening to motivational podcasts while I do this. And while we're on that topic of podcasts and things I've been watching on YouTube, I just wanted to recommend a cleaning channel to you guys, because it's been way too long since I did this. But I wanted to recommend Colleen Cleans today, because I think she deserves all of the love and recognition in the world for what she does. And if you like watching those big free cleans where you get to see a massive difference before and after and the whole process in between, she'll be right up your street. And she's just so lovely and joyful. Her name is spelled Coline Cleans. Anyway, back to the lists. Stay on track, Remy. It's never going to happen. So because I'm self-employed, most of the things on my first checklist are things I want to get done before 3 p.m, so when school finishes. After that, it's family time, and I write a new checklist, and it's centred around them and providing balance and quality time. Them being my kids. I don't like having to depend on a list like a robot to tell me that this time's screen time and this time's dinner time and bath time and we need to have read a story by this time. It all feels very restrictive and inorganic, and it doesn't leave much room for spontaneity. And I do want to be that mum that says, hey, shall we stay up and have a late night snack today? Or shall we skip this certain thing today and have a chill day? But if you look at what this room looked like at the start of this video and you put 2 and 2 together, you realise quite quickly that strict structure is necessary. For me, not even for them. Them being the kids again, I keep thinking that goes without saying. I try to make their day feel as fun and as laid back as possible, whilst all the time I'm following a kind of instruction manual. And hey, you can add late night snack to the list that day. It's structured and organised fun, and that's what some of our brains need. But returning to the all or nothing conversation, I think this is one of the reasons lists failed me in the past, and I'd say they just don't work for me. Because the all or nothing would creep in and sabotage me, even when it came to that. I'd end up being too restrictive and rigid. I'd write lists that were supposed to encompass every single day and there was no room for change or to allow the routine to deviate a little or to adapt to life happening really. Because no 2 days are the same, are they? We don't even wake up in the same mood every day. But I try to go by this list and stick to the times rigidly. And if I didn't manage to, which would happen inevitably, I've got kids, it meant I'd failed and I'm just not good enough to stick to a routine or disciplined enough. Now I realise it's about being structured but adaptable at the same time and finding that happy medium. So getting up each morning and writing a new list based on how you feel and allowing for what's going to be happening that day. Not following this awful generic forever routine. It's having a general idea of timings for things like bath time and bedtime, but not to the minute. That's where it creeps into all or nothing territory. That's when it's being taken too far and to the extreme. And my brain loves to do that. And this is just an example of what it's like to live with an all or nothing mindset. That's the all side of it. You go all in and you're completely strict, miss a timing or miss a day and you've ruined it. I've ruined it. And then there's the nothing side of it. And I rejected being structured in any way for such a long time because I'm chilled. Life's chilled. I'm a creative. I'm a free spirit. Artists don't have routines. No, but artists who are parents do. And that's obviously a joke. I know a lot of artists do have routines, but that was just my mindset. Anyway, if you've watched the previous video or any of my recent TikToks, you'll know that in between these declutters, I've been doing 20 minutes focused speed cleans or speed tidies to help keep on top of the rest of the house while I'm tackling these big declutters. And I've been using random generators to decide which room I'm going to clean, just because it's fun, but also it stops me being biased towards my favourite rooms or the rooms I like to clean the most. And these three things, lists, timers and random generators, are a hat trick for me in keeping life structured but fun. And doing things this way, especially the morning list and the evening list, has provided such a sense of relief and freedom. As restrictive as it felt at first, it's gifted me more free time. Every project and action and person in my life is getting more attention and quality time. Even when it comes to things like diet and exercise, it's all linked. And I know this is just common sense for most people, but for some of us, it's just not. And I'm hoping I've reached my target audience here. But when I've got a handle on my to-do list, I don't spiral and binge eat for want of comfort and security because nothing else in my life is consistent. I don't put off exercising for another day because crossing it off my list gives me a sense of self-worth. And when I don't manage to cross everything off, when ordinarily that would have sent me spiralling and I'd think, oh, what's the point? This day's ruined. Now it's, oh well, look at what I did cross off the list. We've done a lot. We should be proud. Tomorrow's a new day and a day filled with opportunity. Anyway, another New Year's resolution of mine is to listen to people's advice more and not to take every piece of advice as criticism or judgment. I do find myself doing that a lot, and I can be very stubborn when it comes to my way of doing things in my own space. In other areas of life, I'm open to all ideas and all ways of thinking, but in my space and my house, I'm like Gollum for some reason. Don't tell me what to do with my precious. I think it's related to when I was a child and people had come in to clean my room and they'd move my things or I couldn't find my drawings and it really stressed me out. So if someone suggests I do this or that with my space, I feel immediately defensive. And I think maybe when I react like that and when we react that way about things, it's because we know there's a certain truth to what the person's suggesting or saying. Not always, but a lot of the time. And people have been telling me for years to turn my dinner table around so that it's not up against the wall, so that it's more accessible and I don't have to pull it out every time. My argument against it originally was that Ike was very little and I didn't want him running into the edge of the table. But I decided today we're making changes, we're trying new things and seeing what works, we're Remy-proofing. And yeah, I decided to put my ego aside and finally listen. Turned it the other way around. It doesn't stick out nearly as much as I thought it would. And hey, we've eaten at the dinner table every night since. So to anyone who suggested it, thank you. It's taken me a while to come around, but you were absolutely right. And yeah, back to the topic of lists and routines, and this is going to be the last time I circle back to this topic again. I've bitted and bobbed throughout this entire voiceover. But a lot of people probably think this is all just a lack of discipline and motivation. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's mostly a matter of remembering to remember and not getting distracted. That is my downfall. Getting distracted and then running out of time, and things just build up that way. It's not simply a case of thinking either I'm going to do this now or I can't be bothered to do this so I'm going to put it off. Because you're not doing it either way. You've not remembered it, it's not in your brain, and you can't train yourself to remember. And then comes the question, well, if you forget to do basic things like brushing your teeth, how do you remember to even write and follow a list in the first place? And the truth is, I don't every day, but what I've been trying to do this year is make things easier to remember. I was talking about Remy-proofing the house in the last video, putting certain things in place and around the house that either prevent something from happening or make things more likely to happen. And so I put a whiteboard that I write my lists on in the kitchen where I can't miss it. It's in a place I lean on when I've frozen and I'm procrastinating or when I'm cooking or hiding for 5 minutes because the kids have become too loud in the other room, I find myself gravitating to that area of the room all the time. So the whiteboard is very intentionally placed. And it's there at a time that I'm most receptive to it. As the day goes on and I get more scrambled, I come back. Predictably, I'm going to lean on that kitchen counter and I see it again. And it gives me a boost and a sense of order. I've tried with notepads and reminders on my phone. They don't work. Not enough of the time anyway. It needs to be blatant and in your face for me, and something I see multiple times a day, every day. So that's, in a way, another way I've Remy-proofed the house. And if you're anything like me, flaky and forgetful, I really would recommend just putting signs and whiteboards all around the house. It might not look the best, but it's going to get things done more often, and it's going to help you feel like you've got a better handle on your life. A lot of this sounds so silly, I know. Sometimes I listen back and I think, oh my, how do you explain that you struggle to remember things like teeth brushing and picking up as you go along? But there are some things you never forget, like showering and making 3 meals a day. Although these things might be rushed and chaotic, maybe I haven't planned out my meals and I have to rush out and grab ingredients last minute, but I don't forget to do them all together. I can't manage without a shower. I find it unbearable going to bed without one. Sometimes I have 2, one in the morning and one in the evening. And you'd think it would be the same when it comes to dental hygiene. But with that, I do have to use alarms. I have to use 2 reminders on my phone, and this is where reminders do work. But every morning and every evening, an alarm tells me to brush my teeth. And I had a golden piece of advice from a lady in the comments section in one of my other videos when it came to struggling with that issue. She'd discussed this with her dentist, and the dentist told her, don't wait for a conventional time to do it, like morning or evening. If teeth brushing enters your mind at any point during the day, do it then. Doing it at any point is better than not doing it at all. And I think that's brilliant. And I wanted to share it with anyone who's all or nothing like me and thinks, no, you have to do it once in the morning and once before bed. Brushing them at any point in the day is better than not brushing at all. By the way, this is another fab storage solution when it comes to things like teddies. A lot of these teddies have sentimental value to the kids, so this way we get to keep them and we can add a little beanbag to the room. Only issue is, in my experience, the zip tends to be a bit weak on them. So the first one we had broke, but this is only our second one and they weren't overly expensive, so I'm sure you can invest in a better quality one. That's what I'm going to do if the same thing happens with this one. So, why is it that some things are more difficult than others? Why have some things managed to ingrain themselves in my mind and some haven't? And the honest answer is, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out about myself. And I think a lot of people come to these types of videos with the assumption that we have all of the answers. And a lot of cleaning channels do have great advice to follow, especially when it comes to routines and hacks and different products, all of that. I don't. And that's the point here on this channel. We're all growing and learning and changing as we move through life. And I wouldn't want this channel to represent anything but that. Anyway, I have finished this round of decluttering and we have come away with 10 bags, some to donate, some to throw away. And if you add that to last video's 7, that is 17 bags and counting. I've just shown you there what the rest of upstairs is looking like at the moment, because I've decided to have a break from decluttering this room and move on to something else. So there's still bags everywhere that I still haven't sorted through. There are certain things in certain bags that I know will go well in the area of this room that I haven't decluttered yet, which I will show you in a minute. So I can't sort through them until I've decluttered that. And this is what I mean when I said in the last video, it's gonna look worse before it looks better. We've still got so much more to do, but great progress has been made and I'm really proud. I'm going to put all of these videos into a new playlist, by the way, so you can watch them in order. And this here is what Charlie was just building, a grown-up desk for Rudy. Because the age gap between my boys is quite big, 5 years, they're into different things, but they still share a room. So I really wanted to dedicate a little area to Rudy to help him feel more grown-up and independent. We had that tiny desk you saw at the start of the video, but it needed an upgrade. So we were working on surprising him with this when he got home from school, and obviously we surprised Ike with his new little kitchen that he absolutely loves. Here I was trying to figure out where the best place to put the lamp was, because I don't know if you can see, but it was too tall to fit under that little shelf. And either way, it made the wire really visible, but I decided to put it lower down in the end. And then I got this little stationary storage box. because if you've watched a lot of my videos, you'll know that Rudy has a lot of felt tips in this really inconvenient carrier. Basically, you have to get every single pen out and then put them all back one by one, and it's really bulky as well, so I thought this would be great. I got him a 2-in-1 rubber sharpener to put into one of the little drawer compartments, and I realised he actually had 2 boxes of pens that he uses often, a gel pen set that he just recently got for Christmas, and then the big box of felt tips that he got last Christmas. So I was trying to figure out the best way to fit them all into this one little storage box. Because my aim for this desk is to keep it as minimalistic as possible, whilst at the same time being really cosy and colourful. As I said earlier, we're trying to reduce the amount of visual overwhelm in this room, because I really do think that's going to be so beneficial for both of the kids, and it will help them focus and be able to hone in on what they actually want to play with or do. We're a family of people who get distracted very easily, and it's the same with me. When the house is cluttered and messy, I can't think straight and I'm anxious and I can't settle and I don't know what to do. So here's the other big box of felt tips, and as you can see, the way it's laid out is just not helpful at all. There's about 8 trays stacked on top of each other, and when you're a kid and you want to find a colour, you're just going to get them all out, aren't you? Putting them all back is an effort, and I'm sure you'll have seen me clean these pens up multiple times over the last year. So yeah, I'll be glad to see the back of this box. I didn't manage to squeeze every single felt tip in, but it was a long shot to be fair. Next, I found the modelling clay he got for Christmas. I was going through the leftover Christmas bags as I did this, by the way. So I put all of the clay tools into a shallow storage tray I'd bought a few years back. Some things do come in handy. And then he'd also got a new charging station for his VR headset. So I thought I'd put that in the corner. It comes with 2 spare batteries and a back for his controllers. So I thought they can go in the second little drawer. And it was feeling very grown up. And I don't know if that makes me happy or sad. Bit of both, I think. It was inconvenient that the charging cord fit in the opposite side of where the plugs went, but never mind. And then, Rudy is a massive horror fan. I was exactly the same at his age. So one of my Christmas presents for him was the Creepy Classics collection, and I thought that'd look perfect on the top shelf. We're going to read these together in the evenings after Ike falls asleep. I always try to make sure each child gets quality time, so that's going to be our new thing. And yeah, I'm really chuffed with this desk and everything we've managed to achieve so far. I'm going to show you some before and afters in a second, but we've still got a long way to go, even just in this room. There's loads more decluttering to do and loads more bags to go through, but I decided I needed a break from this room and to move on to something else for a while. So I've spun my little random generator again, and I'm going to be moving on to decluttering Ike's chest of drawers, which is in my room. And I'm going to be doing 20 minutes focused attention in the living room. And that means I'm actually going to be taking the Christmas tree down finally, so that'll be coming up next. This is the timer I've been using to do my 20-minute cleans. It's actually Rudy's, and we use it for his hour screen time. It's lovely, isn't it? So yeah, let's have a look at the before and afters. I think sometimes it's easy to forget just how much work you've put in, especially when you've not got everything done yet, but this puts it into perspective. And we'll be back in this room multiple times throughout this series, I'm sure, because we need to do some cleaning and we've got to declutter this. So I'll see you in the next one.